my God, I cannot believe I'm on camera like this. Hi guys, welcome to Forensic Friday, where I tell you one true crime case that was solved using forensic science, all while doing, that's right, my makeup. I just washed and blow dried my hair. I'm in the process of retwisting it, so that is why it's like this, but I just wanted to jump in here and film the video for you guys, so that's why you're getting me in my natural habitat. Today's video will be featuring the ColourPop Neon Gaze Palette Quad. It's not a quad because quad would be 4, and there's how many in here? There's 5 in here, so it's like a 5-pan little mini palette. I know this is a summer palette, but I haven't used it yet and I really want to use it, so we're gonna do something with this today. I'm gonna try to create something fall-esque. All of the other products I'm using in this video will be linked in the description below. Please read the disclaimer. I am not a professional makeup artist or forensic pathologist. I'm just the average girl like you at home planning makeup, doing my jacked up nails or whatever I be doing, and talking about true crime. So if that's something you're into, then you are more than welcome to hit that subscribe button. Quick reminder, the comment section is a preview ledge. Don't fuck it up. Now let's get into today's case. This all takes place in Longmont, Colorado in the year 1993, where a young couple, Tammy Tatum and Jim Meadows, lived with their baby girl, Sadie. Shortly after their daughter was born, things went downhill between the couple. Jim had a substance abuse problem. He was an alcoholic, and it was really bad. It was so bad that he would get into like drunken fights when they were out. He had multiple DUIs, and it was said that one time he was at the grocery store and almost strangled another customer. Now, I mean, honestly, I've been there before. I mean, I can't blame it on alcohol, but you know. Jim was charged with disorderly conduct. Why is my upper lip sweating? Was anyone gonna tell me? Were you gonna tell me? You probably were not gonna tell me. You're just gonna let me sit here with my upper sweaty lip while I continue the video. It's not a good friend. Just kidding. Okay, back to the story. Now, it didn't take long for his rage to be directed towards Tammy. Friends and family members say that he would get drunk and hit Tammy. He also tried to strangle her as well, and there was police records of that. She actually reported it. After being arrested on a DUI charge for the 4th time, you guys, the 4th time, dude, what are you doing? He was sentenced to 6 months in a drug and alcohol rehab center, and he had to live there, obviously. I mean, now the center was not that far from their home. It was in walking distance. So he was still pretty close to his family, and he could relatively get in contact with Tammy if he needed to and see his baby. While living in the rehab center, Tammy would give Jim rides to his job at a mechanic shop. She would pick him up every morning and take him to work. But one morning, she didn't show up. Concerned, Jim walked to the apartment to see, you know, what was going on, why she hadn't shown up. And he knocked on the door, but no one answered, and he could hear his daughter inside crying. So, you know, he did what any parent would do and kicked the door in. He kicked the effing door in. That is when he discovered Tammy's nude, lifeless body laying on the bed with her arms over her head. Their baby, Sadie, was still in the crib and she hadn't been harmed, thank God. I always wondered why he kicked the door in, but the door was locked, so he did not have a key at that time, which he probably shouldn't since he is an abusive f***. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. The medical examiner determined Tammy's cause of death as strangulation. Their findings showed that she had been strangled just 7 hours before she was found. Oh, you know what? I just learned this new thing where you shouldn't put the concealer like directly in the eye. You're supposed to put it like I just did. You're supposed to put it on like the corner and the corner like that. That's what I learned, you guys. so proud of myself. I just wanted to show you guys that. Due to the nature of the body, police did believe that it was a sexually motivated crime. She had injuries around her breast and vaginal area. However, the medical examiner could not find any clear evidence that she had been sexually assaulted. Because Tammy had been strangled, investigators came to the conclusion that it must have been someone very close to her who had committed the murder, as the act of strangulation is personal most often. So police set their sights on Jim Meadow, and he became their prime suspect. So they began questioning friends and family members, and one guy from Jim's treatment center, he was an inmate and he was living there as well, he came forward with some really incriminating evidence. He told police that Jim had been going around talking to the other people in the treatment center, saying how he would kill Tammy if she ever cheated on him, and how he could strangle her, which is exactly the way she died. So if you're gonna do something like that, dude, don't go around telling everybody. You know what I mean? Now, this guy's name was Rudy Gaytan. Gaytan, I think it's Gaytan. He actually told police that he thought it was Jim, like that he believed it was Jim because of all the things Jim had said to him before. Now, when police questioned Jim, he told them that he was at the treatment center at the time that Tammy died, which according to the medical examiner would have been between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. I mean, that's a freaking 12-hour difference, dude. That's a lot of time. So they checked the center's records and they found that Jim had signed back into the center at 9:43 p.m. that night. Jimmy, it's not looking too good for you. I mean, considering the fact that the center was in walking distance from the apartment, it was about, I believe they said it was about 10-15 minutes away from the apartment. So he would have had plenty of time to commit the crime. That rhymed, didn't it? Damn it. I don't be trying to lay bars out here, but it just happened. It's not intentional, okay? And not only that, you guys, police found letters from Tammy saying she was really, really scared of Jim, and that one time they had gotten into an altercation that made her feel like she really wanted to leave. It was clear that she was terrified of Jim and of his rage, and she wrote it down, which is something you should always do as a victim, is document things like that. So she was doing the right thing by documenting it. So as you can imagine, police became even more convinced that he was in fact the killer. And it appeared that the killer was really comfortable inside of the home, that he had, walked throughout the home, and that he used a towel to clean up prints from the room and to wipe off Tammy's body. They also felt that the scene had been staged to look like a sexual assault. It was clear that someone else had manipulated the body. Her hands were placed above her head, which wasn't consistent with someone that is trying to defend themselves from a strangulation. Their hands would probably be down here because obviously their hands would be on their throat, so their hands would probably be down here, not up above the head. I don't know why I had to do all that for you guys. Live demonstrations by Zahara. Anyways. And although there were signs of some sexual activity, the medical examiner didn't really find any solid evidence that there was a sexual assault. They performed a rape kit, but I mean, there was nothing there. They did find a used condom in the trash can. And when they tested the DNA from the condom, it matched Jim. Now, according to Jim, he and Tammy had consensual sex, and when he left, she was still alive. Sure, sir. Sure. Investigators did not believe him. So they theorized that the couple probably had gotten into a fight after sex, and that's why he strangled her. I don't know. Do people get into fights after sex? Now, a fight before sex, fights that lead to sex, yes. But a fight after sex? I'm sure you guys will have something to say about it in the comments. Let me know. if you got into a fight after sex, because I never experienced that. And I don't know anyone who gets into fights after sex. If you're getting into a fight after sex, you should definitely not be having sex with that person, for sure, okay? Forensic scientists found hair follicles on Tammy's bed matching Tammy, Jim, and their baby Sadie, and they also found an additional foreign hair. And they found blood and skin tissue underneath Tammy's fingernails. Unfortunately, in 1993, DNA technology wasn't that far advanced, and they didn't have enough blood and tissue to get a sample and produce a DNA profile. So obviously this was an issue. I mean, they had a small amount, but they would have needed more to run the test. McDonald eyebrows today, but it's okay. Hope y'all love my singing. I'm on something tonight. I don't know what it is. They feared that if they used the DNA that they had, the sample, then later on when testing was more advanced, they wouldn't have anything left to do a DNA test on. They were confronted with the difficult choice to either do the DNA testing on what they had and probably not get a clear result from it, not a clear profile, or to wait a few years when DNA testing was more advanced, when the technology was a lot better. So they chose to wait. So at this point, they didn't have enough evidence to charge anyone with the murder, not even, you know, Jim. So they had to let him go, and the case went cold. By the way, you guys, I'm going to be using the Party Proof Eye Primer from ColourPop. I just got this. I don't know why I didn't mention it, but I just wanted to mention it because I'm trying it out today too. It's a new product, so I want to try it out. 3 years later, and investigators got a break in the case. A mile away from Tammy's apartment at another complex, a young woman named Renee Dulani was raped. So she said that the man had broken into their apartment when her grandmother went to work, which was around 5 a.m. in the morning, just before dawn. She was laying in the bed sleeping when he came up on her and put a knife to her throat and told her to be quiet or he was going to kill her. He kept just repeating, like, be quiet, shh, be quiet, or I'm gonna kill you, while he duct taped her eyes shut and tied her up. Now it's time to go into the palette. But anyway, back to the story. Somehow she managed to convince the intruder that she was not going to tell police, that she wasn't going to tell anybody what happened, and if he would let her live. And he let her live, you guys. She said that she could hear him going back and forth cleaning up things. To her it sounded like he was cleaning up. She could hear him walking back and forth, and at some point he poured water on her body and started to wipe her down with a towel. I mean, he cleaned everything up pretty good. He didn't leave any items behind. He took everything that he used with him. And it appeared that he knew Renee and her grandmother's routine, and he knew that she was going to be at work, which meant that he was probably watching them for some time before he decided to, attack. Investigators felt that Renee's assault was very similar to Tammy Tatum's murder. Investigators started to think, could it have been the same person who committed both crimes? Now they're thinking. Using the DNA from Renee's rape kit, police searched the Colorado database for known criminal offenders. Unfortunately, they didn't get a match. So police ran tests on all of Renee's former boyfriends, her friends, her co-workers, and even her family members. I mean, they were trying everything, you guys, but still they couldn't get a match, and her case went cold. It took 10 years before investigators would get a break in the case. They ran the DNA from Renee's case through the database again, and this time they got a match. The DNA from Renee's rape kit matched Rudy Gaytan. Now, where have we heard that name before? Ah, that's right. The same guy that was living at the rehab center with Jim, he had given police some incriminating evidence about Jim in his wife's murder case. Police were stunned. They could not believe that it was the same guy from Tammy Tatum's murder investigation. What a coincidence. Not. Okay, now I know it looks kind of choppy, but I am going to blend this all together, and I promise you it's going to look better than this. I can't tell you how much better it's going to look than this, but I promise you it's going to look better. Rudy was a 48-year-old auto mechanic. He was married and he had 2 children. They also found out that he lived in the same apartment complex as Renee. In fact, Renee knew him. She said she had had conversations with him before, and he was a real creeper, that he gave her the creeps. He was one of those types of guys who would, you know, come around and always try to talk to you, she said, which is, yeah, it's kind of strange, especially for his age and her age. I would say, like, no, sir, you can get going. And when police re-listened to Renee's 911 call, she had actually told the operator about Rudy. She said that she wasn't sure, but she suspected it may have been him just because she recognized the voice, or the voice of the man sounded like Rudy, but that she was afraid to say it was him because she wasn't sure. She just wasn't sure, and she didn't want to accuse an innocent man of something like that, but she also had a very strong feeling that it was him. And girl, this is when your intuition, that was her intuition kicking in and telling her that he did it. Like, that was what that was. Police did not have enough evidence to get an arrest warrant for Rudy at that time. Then they found that just 2 weeks after Renee's attack, Rudy had gotten into a car accident, and it was a pretty bad accident. It wasn't just like scrapes and bruises on the other person, like, it was really bad. He was at fault in the accident. Ultimately, he ended up in prison for falsifying prescription medication to feed his addiction, and he ended up serving a 3-year sentence. Now, because falsifying prescription medications is a felony, he had to give his DNA when he was sent to prison for 3 years. And that is how police got a hold of his DNA. With further investigation, police found that Jim Meadow had actually introduced Tammy to Rudy earlier on. And Tammy did not like Rudy at all. She told her friends that he was super creepy and she didn't want to be around the guy at all. He made her really uncomfortable when he would come around. And I mean, how many women have to say this before somebody do something about this creepo? The similarities between the 2 cases prompted investigators to take a second look at that fawn hair that they found on Tammy Tatum's bed. The bulb was still intact on the hair follicle. According to forensic scientists, whenever you find a hair follicle that has the bulb still intact, it usually means that it was forcibly removed. Perhaps in the midst of fighting for her life, Tammy removed the attacker's hair follicle. Now, back in 1993, it was really difficult for them to get a sample for a DNA profile from that small of a hair follicle. But now it was 2006 and DNA technology had advanced quite a bit. They were able to analyze the DNA from the bulb and it produced a DNA profile. Guess what, you guys? It was none other than, you guessed it, Rudy Gaytan. Okay, they're definitely too big for me, but they're on, so I think I'm doing pretty good. They also found Rudy's DNA on other items in Tammy's apartment, including the towel he used to wipe her body down. When police arrested Rudy, he confessed to the entire thing, but he claimed it was consensual sex gone wrong. I'd say, sir, really, really wrong. I mean, does he really think he's gonna get away with that? He said, and I quote, "It happened so fast. it takes at least 3 to 4 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, to strangle someone to death. That's plenty of time to stop and just leave, just run and get the hell out of there. So no, sir, we're not taking that. No. Thanks to forensic science and some good police work, Rudy Gaytan was convicted of second-degree murder in Tammy Tatum's death and first-degree sexual assault in the rape of Renee Dulaney. He was sentenced to a total of 72 years for both crimes and will be eligible for parole by the time he is 103 years old. Still not long enough if you ask me, but it is what it is. What did you guys think about this case and my makeup look? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you like videos like these, check out my last episode. I'll leave it linked on the screen right here or right here. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please share because it really helps me out. And I'll see you guys next week with another Forensic Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, whatever I can do, episode. Bye! Happy Halloween!